just 23 years young. Let's go to the Zoom machine and say hello to another person who a lot of people think will be a future champion, Erin Blanchfield. Erin, how are you?
I'm doing great. How are you, Ariel?
I'm doing really well. Congratulations. 23, multiple wins in the UFC. Just got your first finish. Could you describe what life is like for you now? Are you exceeding your own expectations and wildest dreams?
It's kind of everything I expected. Like I went pro at 18, so I expected to get into the UFC pretty young. I've always expected, I've had high expectations out of myself. So getting those 2 first wins were nice, but I really wanted that finish. And I was super happy to get that finish Saturday.
Yeah, deadly finish as well. I mean, the guillotine was beautiful. I would imagine this, of your previous performances, this was your favorite in the UFC, right?
Yeah, definitely so far.
Yeah, and you even had the call out ready. You want the winner of Macy Barber or Jessica Ai coming up later. Why that fight?
They got on a big card, and I feel like I want to get like some fights against bigger names coming up. I've had tough fights. Like the girls I fought were tough, but I definitely want to start fighting people a little bit bigger names to get myself out there a little bit more. So I think either of those girls would be a perfect fight for me.
Are you at a pool party right now? What are you doing on this Monday?
Well, actually, I'm down the shore right now. I'm about to go to the beach after this, but I'm at a Starbucks right now.
Oh, man.
Because I wanted to make sure I had some Wi-Fi so I could talk to you.
Oh, I appreciate that. So this is how you're celebrating down in the Jersey Shore.
Yeah, today. Okay. And then I'll probably go back next week too. But yeah.
Yeah, no, it's a good time to be there. And so have we put, because I know you were a student at Montclair State and you were studying communications. Have we put all school on hold for now that you're climbing the ranks in the UFC?
Yeah, like last year when I got in, like last April, I finished out that semester because I was studying like sports media kind of stuff. And I kind of like knew like once I got into the UFC, I wanted to put school aside. It's something I kind of like talked to my parents and stuff about. So once I got in, I just haven't gone back since. Not totally writing it off, but just for now because I want to put all my focus into fighting.
Obviously, my interest gets piqued when I hear someone wants to be in sports media. Like, what would you want to do? What's your dream job? If, once the fighting stuff is over, if you had to go back and do that, what would you want to do?
For me, I kind of want to get into like commentating and stuff like that. Like, honestly, like I feel like the perfect job would be like an ESPN analyst for like the UFC. I could definitely see myself like going into that in the future. I feel like I definitely need some more experience like in that type of work, but that's definitely like my goal, like after fighting.
Was that something that you wanted to do as a kid growing up as well?
No, not really. As a kid, I always wanted to fight because I've been training since I was like 7 years old. But as I got older and I started realizing, you can only fight for so long. Like I figure I'll probably be done like early, mid-30s. You have a whole life after that. And I know I'll want to stay involved in the sport in some way. And I feel like since I've put so much time into this already and I know so much about the sport, I feel like that kind of can be a natural transition for me.
Who got you? So 7 years old, you first started training. You were first introduced to martial arts. How did that happen? Who got you into it?
So actually, I was dancing before that, and I just quit dancing right around then when I was 7. And my younger brother, Brendan Blanchfield, he was cornering me last week too, was already training. Actually, my mom put him into like a little kids program just to get him started, just to learn how to defend himself. And I went to go watch him, and I didn't know like girls really trained at all then. And I remember seeing like a girl that was a black belt at the gym at the time. And I went to my dad. I was like, oh my God, like girls can do this. Like I was like so like taken aback. And then they offered me like an introductory class. And then from then I was like, oh.
And he was your younger brother. So how old was he when he first started?
He was 4.
Wow. Geez. Were your parents, I believe your dad has a background in martial arts, right?
No, not really. I mean, my dad boxed a little bit as a kid, but he didn't really compete or anything like that. Yeah, neither of my parents really did martial arts growing up, but they just loved the idea of us like knowing how to defend ourselves.
Okay. And then you took your first kickboxing fight when you were 14?
Yes. Yeah, I did. On like a day's notice.
A day's notice. And your parents were okay with this?
Well, I didn't tell them. Actually,
no.
I was at the gym. Yeah. It was like during the summer. And so I just like was going to the gym like every morning, training with like the fight team at the gym I was going to at the time. And they did like amateur kickboxing matches out in Pennsylvania. And I guess they had a matchup and one of like the girls on our team like fell out. So they asked me if I could take it. And right away I was just like, yeah, sure, I'll do it. Because I've already competed in like some like other local, like kind of like kickboxing like tournaments, but not like a legit fight before. So I was kind of comfortable with it. And I remember like calling my parents right after I told them yes. And I was like, oh, I'm fighting tomorrow. My mom was so mad at me because they had like a wedding they had to go to the next day. But my dad, I don't think really wanted to go. So he's like, it's okay, I'll go with you. Like your mom can go to the wedding and I'll drive you to Pennsylvania to go fight.
Did you win?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
Yeah, it was a tough match, but I won.
Did you consider going down the kickboxing route as a pro, or was it always MMA?
No, I always wanted to do MMA. I just did kickboxing and stuff as a kid because in like Jersey, New York area, you can't do MMA till you're 18. So I just wanted to gain experience like in grappling and striking growing up. So that's why I did that. But I always wanted to do MMA.
How old were you when you decided like I'm actually going to try to do this for a living? I'm going to try to make it to the UFC.
I would say about like 12, 13. It was before the UFC had women. It was like when Ronda Rousey and Miesha Tate were like fighting in Strikeforce. I remember that's like the first, because my dad was always a big fan of the UFC. He watched it all while I was growing up, but I didn't really pay attention to it until like I saw some girls fighting. And I remember like that fight for the title when Ronda and Miesha were fighting was like the first fight I remember like actually sitting down and like watching and paying attention. And like after seeing that, I was like, oh, like I've been already training this for years. And I could see myself doing this in the future. I feel like then is when I started kind of taking it more serious and seeing myself having, and then the UFC opened up the women's like division, maybe like a year or so after that. So once I saw that happen, I was like, oh, I think this is what I want to do.
Wow. Yeah. So that was, that first fight was March of 2012. They introduced women February of 2013. So you were like 13 years old or so.
13.
That's crazy. Did your friends watch this as well? Like were your other friends who were girls watch this as well or no, not really?
Probably not my friends at school, but I had friends like at the gym and stuff. So they kind of knew about it. So we were kind of all into it together. I think like it wasn't as popular, like mainstream until like a few years later. I would say till I was like a little deeper into high school.
Okay. And I hear you are, and people are saying you're potential future champ. You have that in you. When you hear that sort of thing, that's a lot of pressure to live up to. How do you internalize it? How do you deal with that?
Yeah, I mean, that's what I expect out of myself too. Like, honestly, I feel like I probably wouldn't have done this if I didn't feel like I could be a champ at some point. And, you know, I definitely want to improve and get better, but I know that I'll have that strap one day.
You feel how long? Like how long do you think it takes? Obviously, the Jones record is out of reach as a 23-year-old youngest champion, but that's okay. There's no issue with that. How long before you're in that title conversation in your mind?
I mean, I could see it happening within the next 2-3 years. I feel like that's probably the soonest. But I'm not too stressed about it. I feel like as long as I keep getting the wins in and I keep fighting and I stay healthy, it's going to come. But yeah, if I keep winning the way I am, I feel like in the next 2-3 years or so.
Why is your nickname Cold-Blooded?
The cold-blooded came from my dad. Actually, he kind of made it up while I was competing, like growing up. He always said like, oh, I just like go in there and I had like no emotion and I just like go and beat people up. And I did, it was kind of like a family thing. We kind of like joked about it. And then once I think it was when I went into the EBI, they like asked if I had a fight name and I was like, you know, I'm going to go with them. I'm going to use Cold-Blooded. And then it stuck from there on.
Is that how you are in everyday life as well? Somewhat stoic, cold-blooded?
I would definitely say I'm more of a stoic person. It takes a lot to get some emotion out of me. I feel like I have to like basically finishing fights is like the only thing that gets me really like riled up. But like other than that, I would say I'm a pretty stoic person.
And your division in focus this weekend, Valentina Shevchenko against Taila Santos. Do you think Santos can knock her off?
No, I don't think so. I mean, Santos she's a tough fighter and she's pretty well rounded, but I don't think she has anything that Valentina can't handle. Okay,
so another win for Valentina. Is that the dream fight for you?
Yes, Valentina is definitely like one person I want to. I feel like she'll still be there within the next few years. I know she has like she doesn't want to stop anytime soon, and she always talks about that, how she wants to stay champ forever. But we all know that's not possible. And I feel like that's like the one fight I definitely want to have. I want to be that person to dethrone her.
That's the dream. That's what you're working towards. What would be a bigger deal, to dethrone her or to become champion?
I feel like dethroning Valentina to become champ would be the biggest deal because I feel like whenever you dethrone someone that's so dominant, it makes it like that much sweeter. You know what I mean? Kind of like what Juliana did to Amanda not so long ago.
Right. All right. Well, you're well on your way. Congrats on another big win. Congrats on a great showing, a great finish. Thanks for doing this at the beach. Appreciate you, and good luck in the rest of your career. Good luck in the next step.
Thank you.
All right, there she is, Erin Blanchfield, still undefeated in the UFC, 9-1 as a pro.